Hey everyone, this is Rowdy's Blog, and welcome to my general discussion series. Today's general discussion is going to be on: do you watch movies or TV shows that came from before your time? Like, for example, if you were born in the 1980s, do you watch movies that came from the 1970s or the 1960s? For me personally, I do watch a lot of movies that came from before my time because I like to look at it from a historical perspective, just to see, how society was like when those TV series come out. Like, for example, I watch a lot of the Flintstones. I love Flintstones, but it came out in the 1960s, and I'm able to see what society was like back in the 1960s, judging by what kind of content was shown on the Flintstones regarding society back in the 1960s. And then with Pinocchio, I could see how animation was being treated back then. It came out in 1940. I could see how animation was being treated back then regarding to content versus how animation is being treated now regarding to the content they also have. Like, for example, Pinocchio usually said the word jackie a lot throughout the movie, but if the word jackie was like uttered in a newer animated movie, you could guarantee it's going to get a PG rating nowadays. Why back then, if you were anime, you're going to automatically get a G rating because back then they think animation was just for kids and stuff like that. Versus nowadays, where they're like trying to take animation a little more seriously. So now they're giving a lot of anime films a PG rating for any kind of content they have, like whether it could be for language, or it could be for rude humor or stuff like that. They're going to rate the movie PG despite it being animated. Why back then when Pinocchio was coming out, any movie that was like animated, it's going to be automatically G, despite what content was in it. So I tend to look at films that came from beyond the time just to see beyond my time, just to see how society reacted to these type of movies, especially with regards to animation, how it was treated, like how people automatically thought that animation was aimed at kids back then, versus nowadays where they're going to give a movie PG rating even if it's animated. And then with movies like The Shining, which came out in 1980. I kind of look at that movie not only because I love Jack Nicholson's portrayal and performance in that movie, but I also look at how the special effects was like done in that movie. Like nowadays, you see more CGI animated special effects for any monster scenes and stuff like that. And with movies like The Shiny, you notice that technology wasn't as advanced back then as it is now. So they had to make do with, I guess, the camera angles to give that kind of special effect for the scenes that's being shown. While nowadays you could just use computer graphics to bring out that special effects for the animation. So I tend to look at how was special effects like for a lot of movies that came out in the 70s or the 1980s versus nowadays where it looks a little more realistic than it did years ago. So I do look at a lot of older films from a historical perspective. How was the movie industry like back then versus how they are now. So, what do you think? Do you watch a lot of movies or TV series that came from before your time, or you don't really bother with any movies that came from before your time? Please feel free to comment below, and don't forget to follow me on Twitter so I can keep you updated on any new videos I post up. And if there's any topics you want me to talk about, please feel free to comment below, and I'll see what I can do about it. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. This is Ravia's Blog, and I'll see you later.